Greetings everyone, welcome to Chess Advanced. This is a great game from Friday Swiss 2025. Here with the white pieces we have Yuffa Daniil, and with the black pieces here we have Gukesh. I'm just going to flip the board because it will be nice to see it from the perspective of the world champion. And yeah, he played a spectacular game yesterday, and yeah, you're really going to enjoy this. Without further ado, let's start with this game. Yuffa starts with d4, we have d5, c4 and e6. If we go into the queen's come in decline, we have knight to f3, knight to f6, and now just going for this knight to c3. We have bishop to b4. This is the Ragozin defense, and here now just going for this Alekine variation of the Ragozin defense. Now you have to defend it with knight to c6, only move, and now just going for bishop to g5, d captures, and here just e4. And it looks very scary because that e5 thrust is coming, and you think that that is pinned, so there could be some trouble, but it's not the case because here in this position, just bishop to b7. A very nice calm move saying that you have nothing here in this position, and now just queen goes back to d1. And in this position you have to be sometimes very careful as to what to do in this position. You have to understand this pin is very annoying, and you cannot even get rid of it with a move like that, because this then there's a chance of en passant, and yeah, this is very annoying. You just don't get something by pushing those pawns all the way, and it's going to be very difficult to get rid of this queen. So either you can get the bishop back, and maybe a move like bishop to e7, and then it's just not the way to play chess. And that's why here in this position now Gukesh goes for b5. Yes, sometimes you have to be greedy, sometimes you have to defend that pawn, and if your opponent is allowing it, then why not? Here just a4 now, but just a6. And in this position, if you're thinking about going for e5, which is the first thing that comes to your hand, that's the opponent played as well, so I'm going to show that line. But if you go for a captures, and rook captures, and thinking that your position is fine, well, it's absolutely not, because after queen captures, you have to understand you cannot even capture the pawn. And the other thing is that e5 does not work in this position because of knight to d5. There is no queen here to pin, and your position just absolutely crumbles apart, and you're going to lose this game. So maybe a move like bishop back to e2, bishop to e2, and after rook captures, queen captures, castles, and just castles would be fine. And yeah, the position would be maybe okay, but still it's better for black, and in Gukesh's hands it's most likely going to be winning. But here after a6 we have e5 now, and e5 with the idea of just utilizing the spin, but now just comes h6, and yeah, it's going to be very difficult now, because here e captures was played, h captures, and the opponent was very happy because now you get to create complications with f captures, and he thinks that he's better, but it's not the case, because now comes rook to g8. And what do you even do in this position? This pin is still existing, you don't have a dark square bishop. This is what I was telling you about just a few moves ago, that you need to bring that bishop back, and that's the way maybe this position could have been played, because after that maybe you can castle, but it's just too passive of a position, and then you don't like it with the white pieces. But you chose to go for this, and if you don't know the lines, it's going to be very tricky. Now you could go for actually a move like, the only move in this position for white is g4. Can you imagine just going for this looks so bad. It knight to e7 now, but after bishop to g2 and bishop to c6, you understand that this is looking very nice for this bishop, castles, and rook caps on g7. You can understand that in some lines the queen and the rook can form some sort of a battery, and you can start an attack early on with capturing this knight. And yeah, this is not looking that very good for Yuffa, and here Gukesh is definitely enjoying this position, because after rook to g8, here just h4 was played by his opponent, trying to create more complication, but he just kept on putting just inaccuracies, and here just comes g4. When you allow g4 here in this position, there is not a good move to actually follow it up. Here knight to g5, but that knight is out of the game forever, and here rook captures on g7, and now we have g3, and you can understand that maybe just the idea of getting the bishop and castles. But now just comes e5, and e5 is a beautiful move in this position, because what do you even do? Bishop to g2 was played, but now here you have to understand that the only move for Gukesh is just one move where he gets a lot of amazing things, because that is obviously e captures, and he goes for it. But if you're thinking about knight captures here, and it looks like a very bad move, but the thing is you have to understand why it's a bad move. Bishop captures on a8 is not a good move, because now after queen captures and castles, there is a very nice line in this position. So I'm going to ask you to pause the video and try and find out this only move which wins the game right on the spot for Gukesh. Have at. So congratulations to everyone who's able to find this move. The move is a rook captures on g5, sacrificing the exchange, because here after h captures, now you get this knight to f3 check, and there is nothing you can do. Let's say you play king to h1, bishop captures on c3 first, b captures, and here just going for a very calm but deadly move, king to e7, and the queen is jumping in, and there is nothing you can do. You have to sack the queen, and yes, that will be over. But yeah, all of this would have been possible. All of this is possible just because of this bishop captures. If you don't capture this and simply castle, then your position is absolutely fine and actually even better than before. So would be a blunder, but hey, obviously Gukesh doesn't go for this. He goes for e captures on d4. Now your piece is falling, you cannot do anything about it, and he allowed it. That's the whole point of it. He allowed it. If he hadn't allowed it, I mean, all of these complications, he could have been fine in this position, but it's this is caused all of this by him only. And here just castles by, but just decaptures, just grabbing that piece, and now Gukesh is a piece up, and you might be wondering, but his king is still in the center, maybe we can do something about it. That's what his opponent thought too, and he goes for a captures and rook to even check, but just bishop back to e7, and Gukesh is saying, my defenses are very strong. If you want to try and break them, well, go ahead, have at it. He just rook captures on e8, queen captures, and it still looks a bit unclear, but you have to understand everything is fine in this position. There is no way white can take advantage. You have an extra piece, and you're going to enjoy it once you get out of this. Here just b captures was played, but just queen to a3 now, knight to e4, and now just going for this knight to e5. So that knight is going to be extremely strong on these squares. It's just very difficult position to play. Queen to d2 was played, but now just comes queen to a6, queen to d5, and finally just f6. F6 is a very beautiful idea, because now you have to understand, if you had played any silly moves, knight is jumping here somewhere along the line. If you move the knight away, let's say you move it here, or let's say you move it here, there is a very nice idea with the with the inclusion of some checkmating idea. So you have to be very careful. If you move the queen, queen goes here. If you get the queen anywhere, let's say you ask for a trade, or you play any silly moves, the position is going to be absolutely crumbling. So you have to be very careful, because queen is doing a very fine job of actually guarding it. The rook is pinning this bishop. There could be some ideas of check, and yeah, you don't want to move that queen away from there just now. But just f6 is a very nice inclusion, because now h5 was played. Now just trying to just push those pawns, maybe create some sort of inaccuracies, and maybe hoping that Gukesh will blunder, but he doesn't blunder. He goes for bishop to e6, attacking the queen. Knight captures on f6 with a check, bishop captures, and now just comes rook captures, and this is a very weird double attack. But now just comes this rook to e7, defending everything, keeping an eye on everything. Your pieces are still hanging, queen is defending everything. Yeah, you don't have anything in this position. Still, rook captures on e6 was played, queen captures, and you're just down a complete rook. Queen caps on b5 with a check, king to f8, and just bishop to d5 was played, but just queen to f5, and yeah, this position is beyond hopeless. Here queen to c6 was played, but now just comes king to g7, and you must be thinking there could be something here with the queen and the bishop, trying to form this kind of a triangle, but there isn't, because now comes queen to a8, trying to go for the same thing, but there is a very forcing line in this sequence, which is this rook to e1 check, and there is nothing you can do. Let's say you play king to g2, because if you go here, it just seems a little bit off. So here just queen caps on h5, and now just comes this queen to g8, and there is nothing. King to h6, queen to f8 check, bishop to g7, and after queen to f4, you have to understand you're just going to run out of checks. After king to h7, there is no checks in the position, and what is happening is you're getting mated in 10 moves, because let's say you play queen to e4 check, just rook captures, because you have to sacrifice the queen, otherwise you're just getting mated. So bishop caps on e4, king to h6, and now just king to f1, bishop caps on c3, and now just comes this king to a2, queen to g5, king to f1, and after queen to d2, here king to g2, but bishop to d4, trying to go after this weak pawn. You cannot just give a checkmate along the light squares just because of that bishop, but here after king to h1, queen caps on f2, and whatever you do next, this is coming, and yeah, you're just getting checkmated. So there is nothing you can do here. Queen caps on h5 was played by Gukesh, just right along, queen to g8 check, king to h6, and after queen to f8 check, king to g6, queen to g8, bishop to g7, and it was on this move, on move 35, that Daniil Yuffa resigned the game, and Gukesh got the spectacular victory in 35 moves. Here he is 2.5 out of 3 and playing really spectacular chess, and definitely reminds me of Olympiad, where they absolutely crushed, where Gukesh got a score of 10 out of 11. It's absolutely amazing. So yeah, thank you all for watching. I'll be coming back with games like these, so stay tuned to the channel, stay updated, and I'll be seeing you guys very soon. Thank you all for watching.